We are so fortunate, we are so privileged to have one of the best communicators in the world, a communications authority, certified speaking professional, of course. He's an acclaimed expert in the personal development field with books, audios, videos published worldwide, with movies and concerts. No, kidding aside. All right. And he has been honored Speakers Hall of Fame. George is uncommonly riveting. How do you really pronounce this? Riveting, rivalry, chivalry. It's really hard to play with words. All right? Riveting on stage. So I'm so glad to introduce you. I'm so honored to meet you. I'm teary-eyed. And it's been called the traveling train of the 21st century. Ladies and gents, give it up, awesome people, to George Walter. I hope I pronounced it right.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I flew in from the U.S. just last night, so jet lag has me kind of messed up. And I've got to be honest with you and tell you that what I'm going to be talking about really is pretty simple. And it's not really specifically for speaking. John, wait a minute.
What?
Scott was saying that in just the first few seconds, people make a decision if they want to pay attention to you or not. That guy sounded terrible. I wouldn't want to spend a day in a seminar with him, would you? No. Let's give him another chance. Fortunately, I just flew in from the U.S. last night, and that has given me the opportunity to adjust my time schedule so that I had the pleasure at 4:30 this morning of getting to know the neighborhood and taking a walk around. I found Filipinos so friendly. And I was amazed also how many were awake at 4:30 in the morning. And then I realized there's a beer garden across the street. And it's not that they woke up, they were still up. And I'm happy to tell you that what I'm going to be sharing with you today is very, very simple. You don't need to really take any notes. You're going to get this. And as with Lynn, I was very touched by the creed that you practice here. Because our stock in trade is our words. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on for the next few minutes. Okay, wait a minute. Who in the first few seconds thought, oh my God, this is going to be terrible? Who started off? Okay, Raju, you were quick to volunteer there. Raju, what immediately made you think, this guy's not going to be any good?
You jumped at me.
I'm so attracted to you, Raju. That's it. So, but interesting. Raju focuses first on the nonverbal. He saw the way I moved toward him. We pay attention. Who noticed something else other than nonverbal that made you immediately think, this isn't going to be so good? Who got it?
Lack of energy.
Matthias. So I didn't say I don't have any energy, but Matthias was listening to my voice, my tone of voice. You could see from the way I spoke that my energy level was going to be low. Anybody notice any particular word? Yes? Thank you. Tell me your name, please. April noticed the very first word that came out of my mouth was unfortunately. Now, as soon as I said unfortunately, you know what happened? It didn't just go out of my mouth into your ears. It went into my ears. And as soon as I started with a negative word, that created this whole feedback system in me so that I felt my energy dropping. If you took a picture of me in the first opening and the second opening, you'd see that my body posture was different. Not because I said to myself, George, be sure and kind of slump down. I didn't have to. Because if I say, unfortunately, my brain hears my words, my body gets in sync with my brain. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you just did with me is what people do with us when they know which button to push.
It's pointed here.
Oh, you're doing it. Oh, okay, pointed at you. Is this okay? It's going to hurt? Oh my God, it's a laser. They do with you, every audience. Anybody here single, dating, first dates, family interactions, Professional gatherings, the same things happen. People pay attention first to your nonverbal actions. Before you say a thing, they're paying attention to you. How do you stand? What's your posture like? How do you dress? Gee, you might like to change that. You might want to be taller. You might want to have different skin. You might want your eye color to be different. Probably not going to happen. They're also paying attention, though, to your... I keep feeling like this is going to burrow right into your forehead. I don't want to hurt you. As with Matthias, they're noticing your energy level partly from your tone of voice. The way you speak gives people an expectation about what you're going to be like. And they also pay attention to your specific word choice. You noticed the word unfortunately. Now, most of us don't consciously say, ooh, what word did this individual use? Yet, subliminally, we all take it in. The words we use determine the image that we project. And particularly for us who are in the profession of using our words to influence others and inspire them and motivate them to take action, it is so crucial to use words that make people want to do what we know is in their best interest to do. So I've got this question for you. If the image you project on stage comes from your thoughts and your actions and your words, what's the most important? You've got a speech coming up in Cebu.
All three.
Definitely all three. I would say, what's most important? Well, if you say, maybe it's thoughts. How many people here believe in the power of positive thinking? So I see just about every hand up. So you know, if you want to do a really good job in Cebu, all you have to do is go. Okay, I'm thinking really positive now. That's not going to create the outcome that you're after. How about who would say actions speak louder than words? More than half, 60% here. And yet, don't you know people who have the perfect stride? Their handshake is just right. Their eye contact is perfect. And yet, you're thinking, this is a hollow shell. This is an act. Someone's just going through the motions. It lacks that authenticity that Scott was talking about earlier. The fact is, there isn't one that's more important because they all influence each other. Just as I use the word unfortunately to begin, as soon as I say a negative word, it gets into my head. That changes the voice that comes out. It changes my physical posture. Everything is connected. But who does this matter for? Your audience? Absolutely. Your colleagues here at PAPS? The way we influence each other at these meetings? And how about yourself? And once again, we can't say one is more important than the other, because if you carry yourself in a professional manner, if the words that you use are positive, and you come to an association gathering such as this one, your esteem is raised in the eyes and the ears of your professional colleagues. They are out influencing audiences just as you are, so the change that you make in the world does not just depend on who's in front of you when you're speaking on stage. It also depends on what positive message you spread among your colleagues. So, all of us are connected as individuals. All of the channels that we use, our speech, our body language, our thoughts, they're all connected too. Are you okay?
Yes.
What's that scar I see forming on your forehead? Everything is connected. Now, I suggested that this is a very simple thing, and it really comes down to this one simple idea. Every phrase you use, you see, you have the choice to say, unfortunately, my schedule is all messed up, or fortunately, the jet lag that I'm experiencing gave me the opportunity to be out there at 4:30 this morning. The words you choose to use shape the image that you're projecting to other people. It's not just your audience. It's not just your clients. It's your friends. It's your family members. How many here are parents? Definitely your kids are paying attention. You are, with your words, determining what their outlook on life is going to be. And the words you use guides cooperation. People decide whether they will accept you as a leader. And again, it runs across the board. Your parenting role, your professional role, your friendship role. They decide if they're going to cooperate with you based on the specific words you choose to use. And I think the most important thing is that the words we use throughout our day, not just in a professional setting, go out of our mouth into our own ears. We guide ourselves. We're forming our own path in life based on the words we use to determine where we're going. So, I said it was simple. It's really simple. Because what I talk about with professional audiences is a system of language replacements. Simple language replacements. It's the things you hear all day long. You hear people saying, well, I'll have to check on that. I'll have to call you back. I'll have to get the customer service people to work on it. You hear people say, well, we've got a problem with your account. Or coming into the room here this morning, I noticed, because I was up at 4:30, I had the opportunity to come in, check the room here, and I could see, there's going to be a problem. No. Well, hold it. Is it really a problem, or isn't it a challenge? Because problems, nobody likes problems. You run away from problems. Challenges, you move toward. We want to rise above a challenge. We want to avoid problems. I disagree. So, Melody, where in the Philippines do you think would be a really great place for me to go visit?
Well, if you're asking me, I'm from the south, so I guess Cebu is the best one.
Cebu is the best? Melody, I disagree. Hold it. I said Disagre. That's not what Melody heard, though, because by the time it came out of my mouth and went into her ear, it had turned into, you're wrong. Now, if you seek to have cooperation, if you want people to work with you, just uttering the word disagree, what happens from that moment forward is that they now, he just said I'm wrong. Let me start constructing the argument for why Cebu is the best place possible. People are no longer then listening, not hearing your point of view. They're getting ready to defend their point of view. What I can't do, suppose you go to a restaurant this evening after the meeting and you prefer to have seating, you want to have a meal after our gathering. And the hostess says, I can't seat you until 9 o'clock. She could as easily have said, I can seat you at 9 o'clock. Focusing on the positive puts people in a more cooperative frame of mind so that they want to work with you. People who are successful, people who have the highest levels of success, also have the highest levels of failure. They fail more because they stick their necks out more. If you gathered a whole bunch of people who are tremendously successful in life and just physically looked at them, you'd notice they've all got long necks. Well, because they stick them out. Don't push the button, it'll hurt her. People who are extremely successful in life are people who've tried lots of things. A lot of them are failures. But they don't see them as failures. They see them as lessons. As things that have taught them what doesn't work so they can do things differently the next time. Yes, but is such a simple thing. In fact, the book I wrote on this subject, the publisher titled it as Power Talking. That was not my title. My title was Get Your Butt Out of Your Mouth. Yeah, the publisher didn't like it either. Because once again, what happens if someone says, you know, your presentation was really good. I liked your slides. But as soon as you hear but, they didn't like my presentation. but as a conflict word. It devalues what you said just before. So the system of power talking, the system of using positive language, is to replace these common expressions. It's not, I'll have to call you back. Just say, I'll be glad to call you back. Notice what happens. If you were in a position, I always remember the first time GE had me come in and work with their people who were answering calls from customers. It's a boring job. It's not very pleasant. You get weird people calling. I remember a woman phoned and said, how do I turn off the light in my refrigerator? I mean, every time I open it, the light is still on. Sometimes I go down in the middle of the night and it's still on. You're like, people are not too smart. This particular individual, Miss Cooley, a real person I worked with before giving my talk, I noticed that she, on average, had 3 opportunities in every call to use either I'll have to or I'll be glad to. I'll have to check on that. I'll have to find your nearest dealer. I'll have to look in the parts manual. Or she could say, I'll be happy to check on that. I'd like to look in the parts manual. I'll be glad to find the dealer nearest you. I noticed, though, that if you go through the day, and in her case, she worked an 8-hour day, and her particular shift, 8 hours, 3 opportunities per call. It added up to 288 times. What does it do if 288 times during the day, you go, I'll have to check on that. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to call customer service. I don't want to. I don't like my job. This is a burden. I don't like it. If she were to say, as she did, I'll be glad to, I'll be happy to, I'd like to, she's giving herself a little boost with every expression. Instead of, I disagree, seek to understand. It's not an argument. It's not a matter of, my point of view is more important than your point of view. It's, yes, I want to understand how you see things, and at the same time, let's get it another way as well. It's what you can do, not what you can't, and there's always a positive to it. It's not, oh, I failed. That speech didn't go well. The audience wasn't happy. No, I learned from this experience with this audience that that particular approach I used was not the most effective. And certainly, it's yes and. Because 2 ideas exist at the same time. It's not that one is better than the other. Of course, there aren't just a few words. There are lots of words. And that's why I invite you to visit georgewalther.com, where you will find, of course, everything I do is complimentary for my professional colleagues. You'll find that there's a list of 50 specific words and phrases, many of which you're probably using right now, and certainly words and phrases that all around us are being used constantly, with the substitutions, the more positive approach. So, ladies and gentlemen, more power talking to you. Thanks so much for being here, and we're so grateful that you welcomed us. Thank you.